All right, and we live. All right.
Sorry.
It's all right. No problem. We can just hold it a little bit with one hand. Okay, what did I do with the phone? This is Wanda's phone?
Yes.
Okay. Come open it up again, Wanda. Be careful of the cord on your head.
Birthday.
I don't remember your birthday. Already starting trouble. Okay. All right, Destiny, you about ready? All right, so thanks for having us,
Yes.
being our first official guest with the 4Ws Outdoors podcast.
Yes, sir.
All right, so I got a series of 10, 12 pretty easy questions.
Okay.
But answer them openly and honestly, and we'll go from there. But we'll make our introductions. I'm Willard Franklin with the 4Ws Outdoors. This is our first official podcast, and we over here at Adair Dewson Park.
Yes, sir.
You know, I could have set us in a nice sterile conference room somewhere in downtown Houston, in a high rise, but we're outdoor people, right?
Yes.
It's 56 degrees today. No big deal.
Yes.
Brr.
And it looks beautiful outside.
It is it's wonderful. So, with that being said, welcome to our program. We're going to get started with a few questions for you,
Yes, sir.
and let's go. All right, so tell me a little bit about yourself. Where are you from originally?
Okay. So, my name is DestinyFlemons. I'm a farm bill wildlife biologist out of Kansas, but I am from Lithonia, Georgia.
What? Lithonia?
Yes, sir. Lithonia, Georgia.
Like-
DeKalb County.
That's wonderful, wonderful.
Yes, sir.
So, you want to talk about how you became a biologist? Why did you want to become? No offense, growing up in the '60s and '70s for me, I had never seen a biologist, let alone one that looked like you.
Yeah.
Okay. So, how can you, and what's got you started in becoming or wanting to be a biologist? Let's start when you 2, 3, 4. When did the first inkling that you wanted to be a biologist?
Okay, so it started off, first off, my parents are military.
Okay.
And I remember when I was probably like 4 or 5, we got my first dog on January 4th. And
What was his name?
uh,
Her name?
Roxy.
Roxy.
Yeah,
Okay.
Roxy, she was like a poodle schnauzer.
Okay.
And we just had this connection, and I said, Mom and Dad, I want to be an animal doctor. I didn't know what a veterinarian was at the time. I was
Animal
like
doctor, fair.
4 or 5 years old. And then around that time, me and my dad spent a lot of time together. Although he was in the military, he would take me out fishing. And so anytime that we had the outdoors, I always connected them with family experiences. I caught my first fish or aquatic organism, which was an eel.
Eel, wow.
Glad it wasn't electric. But that's when I caught. And so it just seemed like the outdoors was very, very fun. And it was also associated with family. I love spending time with family. I was the baby in the family also.
Well, how many brothers and sisters do you have?
Just one.
Just one. So, boy, girl.
Boy.
All right.
Yeah.
Brother and sisters, kind of like Willard and our test question, the 4Ws.
Mhm.
You know who the 4Ws are?
No.
I'm Willard. That's Wanda behind the camera. My son is Willard the fourth, and my daughter's name is Wendy. So that's a test question. You can win a fishing trip if you know that answer. Just so you know. All right.
No,
So
I did
people
not
are like,
know
well,
this
where do you get
fact.
that name from, Willard? So that's where it's from.
Wow.
How about that? All right, but it's not about me. So let's
That's
get
so
get back to you and your brother and your
Yes, sir.
dog, military mom, right? So
Yes.
so you were 4 or so, and you learning about the outdoors,
Yes.
wildlife, that type of stuff. So you were interested in that. Okay.
So, other than catching the eel, I started off watching Animal Planet. I think that's where a lot of us they're saying, oh, I want to go out in the outdoors because they saw Steve Irwin.
Oh,
they
man.
watched a lot of Animal Planet, Disney Channel. There were some outdoor, like, sitcoms or just any type of episodes that were outdoorsy. So we would probably talk about that with our friends. And over the years, I said, you know what? I actually like the outdoors, and that's what I want to do. So I stuck with it.
Oh, wow. Okay. So where did you go to college?
To the best university in SEC, Mississippi State University.
The best university. I
The
like that.
best
I like
university
that.
in the SEC.
They have a football team?
Yes, they do.
Okay. Basketball?
Yes, they do.
Track?
Yes, they do.
So I'm going to look them up. All right.
As you should. Now, our stats right now are not the best.
You're not there anymore.
But we are history makers. So
Okay.
we have ups and downs. I'm still a diehard fan.
There you go. That's wonderful. All right. So from there, you had to, like I said, you had to go to college.
Yes.
You made up your mind that, hey, I want to become a biologist. Is that what you, before you went to college, did you know you wanted to become a biologist?
No. So
You wanted to be a veterinarian, so you didn't know what that word was.
Yes. So I decided to go into wildlife pre-vet. And mind you, Mississippi State was not on the map. I wanted to go to, of course, the HBCUs, and their only program that was available at the time was biology. And then all of a sudden, I got this letter from Mississippi State University inviting me to a academic insight day, which is basically like an open house.
Open house.
And so far, I just went there with my mom, and she was like, Mississippi? Why would you want to go to Mississippi? And I told her, I said, well, if you think about it, dad's in Texas, mom is in Georgia. Mississippi is 5 to 6 hours from both of them. So I said, that's a happy life right here. And so when I got exposed to them, undergraduate students doing outdoor research, helping out, and they didn't have to be a master's student. You can have these opportunities as an undergrad. And so from there, I just decided to say, hey, we can do this wildlife. At the time, they had a wildlife pre-vet program. And after probably right around COVID, I switched to conservation biology, and that's when I said I want to be a wildlife biologist.
Right around COVID, so that's 2020?
Yes.
I remember when COVID hit was March the 11th for us here in Houston. They shut down the Houston rodeo. So I said, man, this is a big deal for them to shut the rodeo down.
Yes.
Middle rodeo.
Wow. Yeah, I was actually in Florida where they had one of the first cases on spring break. And I wanted to stay another day, and that's when the pandemic hit. And at that time, I was trying to graduate because I was supposed to be class of 2020. And I still, one of the cool things is I actually worked at the veterinary medical school for Mississippi State. That was my goal. I said, okay, if I'm going to pick a institution, I want to go straight from the undergraduate track and then go straight to vet school. Mississippi State had all of those things. I can just stay there. But it didn't really work out that way. When I worked there, it was probably one of the greatest experiences. But I said, there has to be more to this. I want to do more outdoorsy stuff, and I just don't want to be limited to just one office or just one field. And that was the goodness of wildlife biology is it's pretty flexible. You can be an educator, you can be a scientist, you can be a game warden. But it just gave me a world of opportunities. And so I said, this is sustainable for me and flexible, which I wanted.
Wow.
Yeah.
So in order for you to get to where you are, somebody had to help you, mentor you, point you in the right direction, tell you what classes to take.
Yes.
Who was that for you?
So her name is Leslie Berger. Well, Dr. Leslie Berger. She was probably one of my main role models.
Look at your face.
Ever.
Look at your face.
Yeah, I love her. She is the best. She was actually my professor at the time. She wasn't my advisor at first, but she became my advisor because I just wouldn't leave her alone. And there was other peers who said, Destiny, I see something. I see where you're going. Let's try to see how we can work this out together because we're in the same boat. One of the cool things about Mississippi State is although we're getting a lot of diversity in the College of Forest Resources, there are only a speckle of us.
Really?
So we were very close-knit.
So it's not a lot of, let's say, women, for one. You know,
Yes.
women are diverse population.
Yeah.
People of color, whatever that is. You know, so most people think of, let's say, DEI, black, Hispanic, you know, that's a, but just in Houston alone with the HISD, they teach to 186 different languages.
Yeah.
That's real diversity.
Yeah.
You know, so you don't see many people that look like you or people of color. Why is that? STEM in elementary, you know, did you grow up in a big neighborhood, small neighborhood, country, on a farm?
Mainly in the suburban area. I mean, we're on the outskirts of Atlanta at this point, but we lacked exposure to the outdoors. I think.
Concrete jungle.
Yeah.
You know, trees, little parks like this is a big park basically, but
Yeah.
you won't see a ton of wildlife here. But I did notice you got your binoculars, you were looking at birds.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
Pelican.
It's a habit. It is a habit now. And then one of the cool things about my high school is I went to Arabia Mountain High School, right? If you look up some of the main parks that they recommend for Georgia, they would go to one of the parks that are nearby. So we had that high school on a nature preserve, but we only went outside twice during the whole entire extension of my high school career.
That won't really make you want to become a conservation law enforcement officer or a biologist.
Right.
Something in the research, those type of things.
Right.
Wow.
Yeah. And so I kept on trying to figure out how can because I knew the outdoors was calling me.
Okay.
I tried to go, at one point I wanted to be a fashion designer. That didn't stick. And so I kept on.
Well, I like your boots with your coverall.
Yes, sir.
That's a style. That's your style.
I try to make it cute to go outdoors.
Okay, I got you.
But it was interesting because none of these things stuck with me, and I had to figure out ways to kind of keep that passion growing because it was still there. I was like, I'm trying to figure out what this is. I'm trying to, plan out my whole entire life before I go to college. And I went to zoos.
Mm-hmm.
I started to help with the vet hospital, trying to get my shadow
volunteered?
arrows. Yes,
Okay.
I volunteered a lot, and
Okay.
of course I had a lot of dogs between that time. So thanks to my parents. But those were some activities that I did to kind of keep me going when because I missed home. I missed Virginia. I grew up in Virginia near the Bay, and you go from Virginia to Atlanta where there's not a lot of areas for kids to express themselves in the outdoorsy way.
Mm-hmm.
And mind you, that was not popular. When you think about it, when you think about Atlanta,
Makeup, hair, clothes,
Shopping.
shoes, shopping.
yes,
You weren't I wouldn't say not the cool person, but you were kind of the outside young lady
yes,
with all that
yes,
going on around you.
Mhm.
And peer pressure. I
Mhm.
guess that's the proper word now,
yes.
Nobody bullied you in school or any of that stuff because you're a little different, learning, you weren't scared of a frog or snake or any of that stuff.
Now, I do not really like bugs as much.
Mhm.
My mom always questions you. It's like, Destiny, do you really want to be a wildlife biologist if you don't like bugs?
Ew.
But one of the cool things about being a biologist is understanding the value that they bring. You don't really have to like them. I'm not going to harm them intentionally.
You like
though.
birds,
Yes, I love birds.
but what do birds eat? Huh?
Bugs.
There you go.
Yes.
So, in order to have a sustainable wildlife population, they need substance,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
So fields, bugs, all that stuff plays a part
Mhm.
in conservation. A lot of people don't really know how do you hunt birds or animals, or why do you want to grow this property or have water behind you. Behind us, that's the water source for the city of Houston.
Yes.
3.5 million people.
Yes.
And how many ducks and birds
Mhm.
and wildlife and alligators and all that, all sustained because of here. And I tell you, I went senior skip day 45 years ago
Wow.
here. So this park been here a long time, and it's been a water source for Houston the entire time.
And it's actually blue.
How about that?
There are so many lakes and bodies of water that I've seen that
Don't look like this one.
No, they don't.
And as close as we are to the city of Houston, we're probably
Yes.
40 minutes from downtown where we're
Mhm.
sitting right now.
Mhm.
And we go fishing and hunting, all different types of things.
Wow.
Right here.
That's a good opportunity.
Okay.
I
All right.
wish we had that.
So what would you tell a young person that's I don't really know what I want to do? Most kids 4, 5, 6, 7. I want to be a doctor, a lawyer, a policeman, fireman, school teacher. The things that you see every day.
Right.
But how often do you get to meet or see a biologist, or let alone in person? Did you ever meet one before you did all this? You see? Huh?
No,
And especially you meet one that looked like you.
that is true. And it's interesting because when you think about STEM, like science,
Mhm.
engineering, mechanical, medicine, all that other stuff, they do not think about wildlife biology. It's not in that category. It's like a
Well,
slither.
I thought STEM, that was part of it, but
It is.
But you don't hear much about it.
No.
Wow.
No. So we
Wow.
need the exposure. I think if wildlife biology had the exposure that it needs, we would get more people.
Okay. So to get more people, part of what we try to do is introduce people to the outdoors, however
Yes.
we can. Hunting, shooting, fishing, boater, water safety.
Mhm.
And from there, we're in front of thousands of kids in school.
Right.
And kids, Mr. Willard, I want to do, one little young lady said, I want to study sharks. She
Yeah.
had to be like 10 years old
Mhm.
in Galveston.
Mhm.
I'm like, whoa, wow! I never had a little kid tell me that.
Yep.
So that's a pretty specialized at 10 years old.
Yes.
So that's a biologist.
Yes.
That's a fish biologist, I
Yes.
would imagine, right?
Mhm.
And just by me mentioning fish biologists, see, too bad I didn't know you back in the day. So keeping up with us, I just got 4 scholarships for my interns.
Yes.
2 at Texas A&M,
Mhm.
1 at Prairie View,
Mhm.
and 1 at Grand Canyon University. She wants to become a game warden,
Wow.
which I call it conservation law enforcement.
Mhm.
The one, and Eric, he's duck hunting today. We turned him into a duck hunter.
Yes.
We introduced him to a duck hunter, me and Jaden. He's been duck hunting. He out duck hunting me. He was a duck hunter today, and he invited us Thursday.
Wow.
So,
Mhm.
so that's, he wants to be a migratory bird specialist.
Yes.
Got him a scholarship. And then my 2 interns at Texas A&M, they on academic scholarships as well. And we got them 2 scholarships. And they want to go into, land management
Right.
and habitat restoration.
Right.
All that plays a part in, like you said, bugs all the way up to waterfowl. You have to have water if you're going to have a healthy duck population, things to eat. As the city expands and grows, I remember when all these houses before coming to Deucin Park, it was open fields.
Wow.
So the water's still here,
Right.
but all the property around it
Yeah.
is residential.
Mhm.
So all that plays a part for the ecosystem. And this is not my
Yes.
field. I am not a biologist.
Yes.
So explain to us what's your definition of a biologist? What is a biologist? Come on, I sent you the
knew
test.
that.
I sent you the test question. Come on now.
I knew that this was
I
going to be a good
gonna
question.
Come on, what's not the textbook? What's your definition of a biologist? How about that?
Definitely a scientist who studies all living things.
So you're a scientist?
Yes.
Really?
Most definitely.
Hey,
Kind of
I'm not hating. I just don't know. I don't
Yes,
know.
we
So
are
biologists or
scientists.
scientists?
Yes.
Really?
Yes.
Oh wow, wow. Only thing I knew about scientists was rocket scientists because we heard about
Wow.
that in school,
Yeah.
right? NASA's here, that type of stuff. But it covers a lot of scientists. Really?
Yes, we study a whole lot of things. Like the job that I have now, I'm not just studying bird biology. I'm studying habitat and how they're responding to this habitat and studying what type of plants that they actually would like. That's science. I have to look at research papers. Well, it's not required, but I do because I am that scientist.
Yeah, if you're going to be that scientist, you have to learn your trade.
Yes.
Fair enough?
And I know that I do not know everything, and I'm willing to learn.
And with scientists, all different types, with biologists, and all different types, correct? What type of biologist are you? You see, you thought it was going to be easy just asking all. So you into birds, you're into fish, you're into land management, you're into
mammals.
You see,
Cats.
Cats. You told me you like dogs. You want to be
Yeah.
a veterinarian. So what type of biologist are you? You're getting paid right now from an organization.
Right, yes.
And your title with that, do you mind talking about it at all?
Yes.
Okay.
So I work for Pheasants and Quail Forever.
Pheasants and Quail Forever.
Yes, sir.
And where do you work out of?
Wichita, Kansas.
Wichita, Kansas. I
Yes,
hear they
sir.
have some good hunting up there.
Yes, they do.
But in order to have good hunting, you have to have good habitat. You have to have water, huh?
That is
You have
the
to have
key.
people like you that understand that. So
Yeah.
when you making laws, rules, and regulations, well, we're going to turn all this Deucin Park, let's just use this as an example,
Right.
and turn it into residential housing. Been here for 50 years, sustaining the wildlife
Yeah.
around here. If we turn all this into houses, well, what happened to all that wildlife?
There will not be any wildlife.
You see?
Any.
You see? So it's not always about land and money and building big houses, because around here, 4 miles away, it's big houses,
Yeah.
and that used to be open fields.
Yeah.
So your title, Pheasants, Quails Forever, that's
Pheasants and Quail Forever. Yes, sir.
Pheasants and Quail Forever. Are they a national organization, nonprofit?
Yes, they are. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yes, they are.
Wow. So you ever been on a podcast before?
I have. This is my third.
Well,
Yes,
this
sir.
is no big deal for you. So this one's going to be on Apple Podcast. We're going to have it on our YouTube channel. We'll get to share it.
Awesome.
We're videotaping it, so
Yes.
we're making a couple of things. Feel a little special?
Yes, I do.
All right.
Honored.
Not too cold out here for you?
No.
Okay.
Just
All right.
a little breezy.
Okay. Yeah. So, like I told you, we could have been in the office at indoors,
But this is the
white
setting.
walls.
Yes,
I
sir.
didn't want to do that. All right. So a few more not so tough questions.
Okay.
How does being a scientist, biologist, what most people ask me, what does that pay? Not talking about your pay, but is it comparable to a school teacher's pay? You know, $60,000-$70,000 a game warden's pay. They make 65, 55. You know, policemen. You know, in that ballpark, or is it well over six figures every year?
Absolutely not.
Okay, all right. You know,
Absolutely
and
not.
but young people need to know that you're not making. No offense to being a fast food worker, but you're not making minimum wage or anything like that. So I always try to talk to our kids about the real world.
Right.
You know, you can go get a job.
Right.
Can you retire from this field?
It is possible.
You see, wife's a school teacher. She didn't make a ton of money. You know, I think when she started, we're mature people now. $29,000 a year.
Wow.
You see.
Wow.
But she's retired.
Yeah.
Never have to work another. She worked still, but she didn't have to work.
Yeah.
And get a check. You know, so what I try to teach kids, if you job hop from one position to another position and you don't stick with it, you're going to deal with issues and organization and people that don't agree with your philosophy, right? You're going to have a boss that's going to be tough to deal with, co-workers, right? That sound familiar?
Yes, it does.
You know, you just started in the workforce. A few years, how long?
It's been, we're in 2024 now, so about 3 years. Yeah.
I've been working for, my goodness, 50 years.
Wow.
All right, so I've dealt with a lot of stuff, and I watched the world change in those 50 years.
Yeah.
So what I always like to do is talk to people about the future of the outdoors. You're definitely it.
Yeah.
You know, no offense to me, I may have 10 more years left.
Yeah.
You know, I'm just being honest, right? You have 60 or 70 more years.
Yeah.
You see what I mean? So people like you are the future of the outdoors, you know. And introducing more young people to the outdoors, to me, is very, very, very important.
Yes.
All right. So, again, what do you think is the number one thing that a young person that have an inkling of wanting to go in to become a scientist / biologist, which is interesting to me to learn that, what would be the first thing that they would need to do? Research the pay, research the job, different job titles. 'Cause now you can pick up your phone and Google anything. You can Google pay, all that stuff. No big deal, right? So what would be the best advice from a young person to other younger people than you, high school, middle school kids that are looking to, and you'll change your mind 2 or 3, like you, change your mind 2 or 3 times.
Yeah.
But you stuck with some type of outdoor career. Right. So what's your best advice to one of our up and coming young people?
Okay. I would say just get started. The way that I did it was literally going on Instagram, putting out a Black wildlife biologist. I said, okay, I need to see if I can actually make it out there. I need some inspiration. And when I did that on Instagram, I actually found my mentor who just who became Dr. Kia now at Tulane University.
Tulane?
Yes, Tulane
Louisiana.
University. Yes, sir.
Oh, wow.
That's actually where I got my first field experience right out of college. She gave me that. But just to honestly get started, if you are interested in birds, look up bird biologist and start somewhere. Just pick a certain field, look it up on the internet, and you're going to find someone. Just find your person.
And I find that interesting because in our day, we would have to look up an encyclopedia. You even know what that is?
Yes.
Okay. So if
It's
big books. And we were poor growing up and not having A to Z.
Yeah.
We had to stop H or J, K, whatever that was. But now, it's no excuse. You can go to the public library, get online, even if you don't have a phone with internet access, and look up careers.
Yeah.
Biologists, black biologists, female biologists, different types. It will pull up a whole list of people. And you said Instagram, right?
Yes.
Social media is a monster.
Yes.
It was no such thing in my day.
And the interesting thing is the audience that we're lacking now, that future, they're already on social media.
They don't watch TV.
It.
Do you watch television?
Not as much now.
We didn't have we had
now.
only 3 stations.
Wow.
So now everything is on your phone. You can look up anything, find out almost anything you want from it. So that's a good way to reach young people. It's showcasing opportunities in the outdoors.
Yes.
And to me, to take it a step further, taking them on outdoor adventures.
Yes.
What do you think about that?
Yes, it's needed.
How do you mentor, young people? Would you be willing to do something like that?
Oh yeah, I'm doing it now.
Okay.
Literally doing it now. And I didn't even think, or I knew that was something that I was passionate for, but I didn't know it was going to come so soon. So just me sharing my story, me saying, hey, I grew up in the city life and now I'm out here on farm ground. Never been on farm ground before. So just honestly using what I have, I tell people this all the time, social media is free. It is a free marketing tool. It depends on how you use it because employers are going to look at you anyway. Give them something to look at. And no matter who you reach out to, say for instance, if you're just interested in saying, I want to see how I can be a biologist or some type of scientist, there's going to be people out there that you can reach out to. And I mean, people shoot their shots on Instagram any day. But if you just talk to someone and say, they'll actually take you or say, hey, I might not be the person that knows much about this, but I know somebody who does. And my dad is always talking about your network determines your net worth.
There you go.
And I want to be wealthy. So we're making connections.
Well, so with that being said, how did we meet?
We've met on LinkedIn.
On LinkedIn.
Yes, we did.
You know, I have Instagram, all that stuff too, but LinkedIn. So what do you think about LinkedIn as a platform to reach people, you know,
yeah,
on there? What made you stop and pay attention to what we were doing?
Ooh. When I started to see some of the content that you were posting, I didn't even know. I was like, how did he find me? And this was right after I graduated from college. And I was like, okay, Mr. Franklin, let me look at what he does.
Who the heck is this Willard guy? And I like him, Mr. Frank. You know, who is this guy and how is he tied into that many people?
Right.
And so so you see how we got together.
Yeah.
Every day I look up LinkedIn. I looked up different people, different organizations, and it's cohorts on LinkedIn, I guess we call it. And I would tag different wildlife organizations. Then from there, I would see different students in that field. And for me, with LinkedIn is a career opportunity for people. You know, just Jaden White. You know, Jaden. We talked to Jaden earlier. Want to become a conservation law enforcement. He's in the Game Warden Academy, working on that right now.
Yeah.
But with him, you know, we work hard at putting all that information in front of him.
Right.
You know, and so you get to see. And I'm sure you saw him on there. Eric, you know Eric now, duck hunter. You want to be a migratory bird specialist. I have a couple of other young people. But for me, social media is a monster. Otherwise, we wouldn't be sitting here talking. You know, you said you were coming to town. I said, what you want to do?
Yeah. Then
I said, well, I'm going to start 2024. I'm going to start a podcast. How about you being my first guest?
Which is an honor.
How about that?
Thank you so much.
You know, and everyone on, you know, all I think around 8,000 or so people. Right. But the people that follow me, that I follow, are outdoor people.
Yeah.
Organizations, companies. You know, I can tag, or whatever you call it now, any state agency in the country.
Right.
You know, Pheasants Forever, Ducks Unlimited, you know, all those organizations,
yeah,
they know who we are.
Yeah.
And so we use that horsepower to help other people find jobs and careers.
Right.
And to move up.
Right.
You know, I had a young lady, one of my first ladies that reached out to me from LSU.
Wow.
In biology, and wanted to move up the career ladder and opportunities. You know, so introduced them to the U.S. Fish and Wildlife.
Yeah.
How big are they? They're in every state.
Yeah, they are.
United States Fish and Wildlife. We're actually going to a big event with them. And so it's a big deal introducing people like you.
Yeah.
And then networking people like you.
Yes.
So they'll see. The people going to get to see this.
Yeah.
So it's a pretty big thing.
Yeah.
So, all right. So what would you like for us to help you with? Come on, tell me. I have a little horsepower.
Yeah.
We're going to reach a few people.
I would.
Okay, well, how about this? Where would you like to be in about 10 years?
Oh, okay.
How about that? That make it a little easier?
In 10 years?
Doing the same thing, moving up, moving lateral?
Definitely want to be making...
more money.
Yes, more money, but also having my own nonprofit.
I know a little bit about nonprofit.
Yeah, I want to have my nonprofit. I want to be associated with a couple of, more in the educational realm, because I am a firm believer that Youth is one of the biggest investments that will give you the greatest return. That's how I got started. Kids need outdoors. They need someone that's passionate about the youth and the education system, and just making sure that they become better caretakers of the earth.
So what's your target youth audience? What's the age group?
Oh,
Tough questions.
my sweet spot,
There you go.
the most, I think I would say the most grades that I've had more experience with are 6th graders, because when you still have some time to wiggle around to say, hey, I might want to be a doctor, but I'm also might be open to this. It's a fun age. And you still have some time to kind of might change their mind or give them other options that they didn't think from mom and dad. But I would be interested in high schoolers, because that's where you get the college, or they're starting to think about
Prepping them,
college.
getting them ready,
Yeah.
courses, direction.
Yes.
They don't know. I didn't know what I wanted to do. I didn't get a chance to go to college. But, graduating, I wasn't sure what direction I was going in.
Yeah.
But I always try to make sure, and college isn't for everyone, right? But being a scientist and a biologist, you need to go to college.
Yes, you do.
Period.
And you need to get a college degree, or you need to go to college and have a lot of experience, field experience, before you get that job.
Right. And so how do you get the experience? You volunteer, right?
Yes.
Right? Different organizations. And a lot of people like volunteering. I ain't going to do nothing unless somebody pay me.
It matters.
It's a big deal, isn't it?
Yes. And volunteering in different fields. Because the more well-rounded you can become, the more able you'll probably get that you'll get your application approved.
Well, let me ask you a tough question. All right. So remember when you interviewed for Quail and Pheasants Forever?
Yes.
What was the number one answer that you gave them when they interviewed you that took you over that top?
Being willing to be honest and say, I have not had this experience, but I'll be willing to learn.
Okay.
That is probably one of the biggest character
when,
traits.
When you're talking to people that's their career and you trying to fluff them, it ain't going to work.
No.
They'll know right off the
They
bat
can
by the
sense
look
it.
in your eye, right?
Yeah.
So my interns met with 6 fish biologists and asking them before they were competing again for their scholarships. Like, look, just be honest with them, because you can't fluff professionals in that field, right? They would feel, and there's nothing wrong with not knowing, because you're not going to have all their experience. They have to be willing to train you and mentor you, maybe point you in the right direction. Fair enough?
Yes.
Okay.
And if you're able to be teachable, I feel like those are some of the best employees ever.
You can't come in knowing everything.
Yeah, you can't.
Because no way you're going to know all that stuff.
Nope, you have to be teachable.
Okay.
That's what they're looking for. That's how you create a sustainable employer or employee.
Okay. All right. So I think it was a great start for our first deal. How would you like to close us out? So I'm going to ask you another tough one. You said you want to start a nonprofit. You thought about a name?
Yes.
Come on. You want to share it? You're not ready. Okay.
Not yet.
You're not ready to share it yet.
But it is in the process of getting trademarked.
Oh, wow. Big ticket.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, wonderful.
Yeah.
I like that. I like that. So you have a plan.
Yes. I've been thinking about this for about 6 months now.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wonderful. All right. So where are you off to next? You finishing up here? You came to visit the parents?
Yes.
Getting ready to go back home?
Yes, sir.
And what's your first job when you get back? What you got to do?
Go to training.
Training.
Yes. Training on
All that college, all that time, and you still in training?
We still need training. There's a whole bunch of stuff that we still have to learn. Oh yeah. Especially working or being a partner employee with the USDA and the NRCS, there's always, things are evolving, things are always changing, and so you got to make sure you stay up to date.
Stay up to date with all the different policy, rules, regulations.
Yes.
Wonderful. All right, so how would you like to close out? What's your parting words? Good advice for the future of the outdoors.
Ooh, okay.
Even a little bit younger than you. You're young, but a little bit out of school, 3 years. Well, I like that.
Yeah. First off, I would like to say thank you for the opportunity. I definitely want to be a part of the movement. What you have done and will not be in lack. The strides that you have created have paved the way for all of us. So I would generally just like to say thank you for that.
You're quite welcome.
For anybody that is wondering about biology, I'll say this. even if you're the only person, that is okay. Some people are sent in this world or meant to be those trailblazers.
That Lone Ranger.
Those Lone Rangers. And here's the thing, it's not going to be lonely forever. When I came to Mississippi State, I saw like specks, or I was sometimes the only person in the room, the only black female, the only black person, period.
Really?
In that room. And I was like, it's so lonely out here. But sometimes when I continued to keep going, continue to press, I saw these aspects of saying, I'm getting all these experiences. What kept me when I could have just exited, or I could have just quit?
Yeah, when got a job sitting in the cubicle all day.
Yeah.
Could you do that for 40 years?
Possibly.
Doing accounting?
I probably wouldn't like
payroll,
it as much.
HR?
No. Yeah, I probably wouldn't have liked it as much, but continuing to have the end goal in mind. Define what your end goal is. And even though you're still trying to figure out, because that's what I love about the 20s, is the end goal is like right here and you're so far away. There's so many things that you have to do and you don't know what steps to take. Just take a step. Find your way. Find a good group of support system. My support system is crazy, and they're from all over the world. So I appreciate that as much, but nothing is too hard, especially when you have an end goal in mind. Continue to keep going, even though you're going to be the Lone Ranger. Sometimes you're not. It's not going to happen all the time, but continue to just press through. It's worth it.
Okay. Well, wonderful. Thank you for being a part of our program.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. All right. Thank you. All right.
Oh, that last one. That last question took me some time.
Uh-huh.